version, that seems like the correct answer.
Yep, definitely seems very important for taking care of that latchkey fairy. The Elvish Harbinger, one of the ways he plays the Oblivion Rings, you mentioned that he had the one plains, he also has the Fertile Ground and the Harbinger, so he really has 3 sources of white in order to play those 2 Oblivion Rings.
Absolutely. Just suppose for a moment he hadn't. People often will play just a single land for a splash of 1 or maybe 2 cards. Would you do that? Would you want more than a single source if you had 2 cards as important as Oblivion Ring?
I usually want to try to get at least 2 for the most part, but when you've got the opportunity to have one for free, for example, with the Elvish Harbinger, then it's pretty easy.
For sure, of course. All right, so the Harbinger blocks.
Had a fistful of force cast on the Harbinger. When he moved that into the red zone, I thought that might be the play. See if John's got anything, or if he's just going to lose the 2/2 to get 5 damage in.
Yeah, 5 damage in. Carvalho drops from 9 down to 4. That is perilous territory.
Yep, and of course 2 mana is spoken for on his turn in order to nameless inversion the latchkey, or even if he saves it for John's turn, that makes it a little bit harder for Marcio to play the creatures he needs to get ahead.
Kin Harbinger from Finkel, so now it's his turn to go look. It's nice to see tutoring effects back, because so many tutors were incredibly powerful, and you couldn't consistently play with them in the environment.
Yep.
Finkel there goes to get the Kinspell Balloonist, one of our classic finishers in his deck. So Marcio Carvalho will know that the writing is on the wall, unless perhaps he can go, first of all, I'll nameless inversion your fairy, get that flyer out the way, then I make Cloud Crown Oak maybe. That can get in the way of the Balloonist, but not the one that Balloonist makes fly. Okay, Leaf Crowned Elder comes down. Passes the turn. Because of the elf, he has the nameless inversion mana.
Yep, now he's got to figure out which one he's got to deal with, the 3/1 or the Kinsbale Balloonist.
Well, at 4, do you not just deal with the present threat? Because you kind of go, I don't really want to be on 1. Oh, hey, I might forget the Boss Banneret again.
I would be inclined to say so, but you have to look at the reality of the situation. Either way, if he doesn't have a second answer, he's dead next turn, and so by sitting through this, he'll kill the Kinsbale Balloonist. Then he just has to come up with a solution to the 3/1.
So there's the Balloonist, and there's the nameless inversion, to precisely nobody's surprise.
Going to take a peek at the top card.
Yeah,
see
for
if it's
kinship.
relevant.
Kinship on the Leaf Crowned Elder. Just leaves it back there.
He's going to have Guiltleaf Ambush possibly here to put it on the bottom so that he can try to help find himself an answer.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, smart man, Bill Stark. I like having you here.
No.
Kawhi says, no, I don't like that, thank you.
Nope, he's got very few outs he's got to hit here. And John says, we'll put that land on the bottom. Oh, looks like we found an answer in the Lisalana Bowmaster. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the crowd gives a groan. Now, it's tough. You kind of feel bad for Marcio Carvalho here. So many people are such huge fans of John Finkel that you kind of get a sense that the crowd is rooting for John over Marcio. But Marcio's had a really good weekend. He's a very solid player. I'm sure there's a lot of Portuguese players that are very excited to see him here. And you don't want to take anything away from him just because he's playing against John Finkel.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, he's handled himself fantastically well, because it was a very tricky quarter-final, I could say, against another Hall of Famer. And, he continues. I said in my introduction, he's the definition of a pro. He's around the whole time. He works hard. He's solid. Doesn't make many mistakes. Doesn't get flustered. But he is beatable. And sometimes you feel that John isn't beatable.
Yeah. John happy to trade his 3/1 there for the Bowmaster before giving his opponent the opportunity to simply play an elf spell to kill it for free.
Absolutely. It's interesting the way that card advantage now comes in many different forms. The classic card advantage of Distant Melody for 2 is card advantage +1. But on the other side, you've got Thorntooth Witch. I play a spell, I kill something. That's 1 for naught is card advantage +1. And these different styles, they're both card advantage decks in a way, but from 2 completely different sides of the spectrum.
Absolutely. We get a Black Poplar Shaman added to the board here, and the Leaf Crown Elder is going to get in. John's looking to get some action here. The ground is starting to bog down. He's got a lot of time to find, and there's a great answer. Loves those card draws, even in an aggro deck. It's so rare to see aggro decks that can draw as many cards as John can with the Distant Melody and the Mole Drifter. And on top of being able to play the Mole Drifter this turn, wow, that's a huge addition to the board with the Gold Medal Harrier. So it looks like John has all but sealed up this match, but we still get a turn to find out if Marcio Carvalho can come up with something.
Yes, now this game, of course, because it's 1-1, so we're looking at...
yes, game, yeah.
So this would be 2-1 to Finkel. Yes, and there it is, 2-1 to John Finkel. He moves ahead, needs one out of the next two. Carvalho now into the last chance saloon. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the floor once again. You can see in the background there that Ming Shi and Mario Pascoli are busy shuffling away. That means more things have happened down there. Let's see if we can get down to our reporter on the floor, Mr. Scott Johns. Scott, what do you got for us down there?
So this was a totally different game than the first one. This time, Ming-Chi actually got to get into millstone mode, and we got to see something real different that I haven't seen a lot of in this format. Usually, in different formats, different crazy things can happen when you're loading up your opponent's graveyard with cards, but I haven't seen a whole lot of that in this format. Not so true with Mario's deck. A makeshift mannequin went by, which fortunately went into the graveyard, but what did also happen was that Mario had two Sunflare Elemental, the elemental it sacrifices to do damage to creatures to players based on elementals in the graveyard. They're able to do 12 damage directly to Ming-Chi's face for fatal.
Wow.
He put one out, put the other one out, pass the turn, shoot you, you're dead.
Wow, that's amazing.
Had nothing else going on, but it was just 4 mana, take 12, you're dead.
All right, so what's the score down there then, Scott? What's the actual scores on the doors?
That makes it 2-0 now.
2-0, and Pascali, as we kind of expected that that removal was going to be sufficient, and I mean 12 damage, that's foolish.
Yeah, Ming-Chi has had a really good run this weekend, but it's unreal how tough that matchup is for him.
He is under the gun. All right.
John Finkel, very distinctive pat for taking the cards off the top of his deck. Always puts the 6 together and then puts that 1 over off to the side. No word on why he does that, but if you watch him mulligan, he does the exact same thing, but with only 5 cards and then the 6 card off to the side. Very interesting.
All right, now Marcio Carvalho, you called it earlier. You said, I'm not sure what happens with his opening hand. He really needs an early drop. He looked carefully, and okay, Treefort Carpenter, 0-3, speed bump.
Yep, you got to imagine he's going to be finding a 2-drop, yep. Either the Boss Banneret, perhaps Leaf Crowned Elder if he's already got there.
Yeah, I think he's gone for the Leaf Crowned Elder there.
That's a very fine play. Viewers at home interested in commenting on the match can do so at the MagicTheGathering.com forums. We do check them occasionally and try to voice back on what people are saying. So if you've got stuff to say, feel free to do so at MagicTheGathering.com.
Yeah, I must confess I'm very distressed to find that I wrongly allocated Nate Kading to the New York Giants. He is, of course, the San Diego Chargers kicker. I really should know better.
Yep, and we thank a viewer for pointing that out to us.
Yes. And as anticipated, I had a few little baseball comments in the forum. I can't imagine why. We might try and rectify that situation after the semi-finals for you. We'll see.
You may be doing some penance later, I got a feeling.
Yeah, a little bit of penance. All right. So here we are then. Finkel in with the perfect start of the Gold Medal Stored into Skirmisher. Means I pile in for 3. But Marcio has some defense this time.
Already had the Banneret in his hand, we can assume, since he tutored up the Leaf Crowned Elder, and that's a phenomenal start for him. That's just really good.
For 3 mana, thank you. There's my Leaf Crowned Elder. It's my free spell every so often guy. And Carvalho's only on 17. Wow, there we go. Weight of conscience. Let's get rid of that. Thank you very much. Well worth the turn.
Yeah,
because you're not winning with Leaf Crowned Elder in play.
No, especially if it starts hitting things like Thorntooth Witch. Of course, that means that John didn't get to play a creature and didn't get to attack, so he's starting to get behind on the board. But we'll have to see what that winds up meaning depending on what his opponent's plays are. No, a 4-4 for 4 is certainly going to get in the way of John Finkel from Marcio Carvalho on the Portuguese side of the table here.
One card.
See a draw from John. What's this one going to be? Looks like it's another island, although he is sitting on the Kinsbale Balloonist, which will allow him to start getting in if Marcio doesn't have either an answer to the 2-2 or one of his reach blockers. Probably the best possible card John could have had right now, simply because it will allow him to start getting some damage in.
In comes the Banneret. And,
That's the seed guy dash.
Seat guy dash, I
Yeah.
beg your pardon. And of course, Finger says that's absolutely fine.
Not afraid to leverage